I don't remember my childhood. Looking back at my life, it is filled with blank spots I cannot explain, but the bits I do remember are filled with much unhappiness and guilt. Of course, there were happy moments, friends I made, places I liked, but I cannot remember why. Trauma can cause permanent memory loss. As an autistic, ADHD queer kid growing up in New Hampshire, I have received little to no support for or education about who I am. From an early age, I learned to hide who I was. The school system, my family, everyone silently taught me that who I was, that I was the problem in a wholly functional system. I remember one time in 6th grade, when in science class, something had happened and I completely broke down. I could feel everyone in the class staring at me, and the teacher took me out into the hallway to talk. And I was so embarrassed and self-conscious, and even though it was a small thing for everyone else, it felt huge and horrible for me. No matter how hard I try, I cannot remember a single time that I've truly cried since. It's like my brain was blocking out that ability in order to stop myself from feeling that pain ever again, but all that it really does is make me bottle up my emotions so that I cannot truly express them. As I grew up, there were always hints at the struggles of the LGBTQIA+ community, but they were just that, hints. Nobody ever talked about what had happened or what was going on. In elementary school, my mom came out as gay. I didn't quite know what that meant at the time, but at that age, I simply accepted that and moved on. That was my first real glimpse into this strange new world. When I reached middle school, there was a student group hiding in the background called SAGE. That stood for Sexual and Gender Equality. It was a space where queer kids could hang out, talk, and support each other. It was then that I learned about transgender people. It had never occurred to me that someone might identify other than their assigned gender at birth, but as before, I tried to accept that and moved on. When I began high school, my knowledge expanded 100-fold as I met new people and joined clubs. There was one time when I was eating outside with someone and we heard a chattering in the trees around us. After a minute, the entire Rainbow Alliance, that being our local queer club, was gathered in that little gazebo area, over 40 people. They began talking, and soon I found myself coming back for future meetings. I then had access to so many much greater resources and in such an easy-to-consume manner. I learned about new gender identities and sexualities and made many new friends that were not cisgender or heterosexual. It was 10th grade where I also learned about neurodivergence, where someone's brain functions differently than the norm. I learned I was autistic and ADHD, and as the year progressed, I grew to understand more about the mental health struggles of those around me, and then of myself. The summer before, I realized I, myself, was not straight, but it would take me almost a year to realize what exactly that meant for myself. Later that year, I realized I was not cisgender. It would still be a few weeks before I realized what I identified as. During that time, and even more in the months afterward, public opinion and in turn American legislation grew to be so much worse. Basic human rights have been taken away from LGBTQ and neurodivergent people, which, kind of an important thing. Might be just me, though. It has gotten to the point that many people, so many people, struggle with their mental health. Among transgender people, 41% have considered or attempted suicide. I was lucky to find friends who could support me and help me through everything. In coming to Friends Forever International, I became a part of a community based on love and support. We have all shared much about ourselves and made much more personal connections with each other, deeper than almost anywhere else. Here I am healing and finding a new family, a new home. In the future, I hope I can continue these connections and make many more. And I do dearly hope that in the future, people can be more open to listening, even if they cannot understand. This is not some great call to action, and I am not telling anyone to do anything, but I do hope you will listen and at least try to understand. A quote that has stuck with me over the years is, they won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. I try to keep those words in my mind whenever I speak. I have grown up facing thousands of microaggressions that have left me with a hidden trauma. I wouldn't be able to list all of the different experiences, but I can say how much